Writing together involves a lot of trust. All right, so this is my baby, but it's got to be our baby. Now I got to trust you with the rest of it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm going to refer to the Beatles, like the Beatles did it. They would bring down ideas or half songs, and then they would complete it, or one of them would complete it. You have to have that trust in each other. And I've developed very rapidly that trust in these guys.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Kenny Hickey of Sun Don't Shine. How are you doing, brother?
Shine, Silvertomb, and Typo Negative. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I'm going to add a few more band names before the end of next year.
I believe it. Yeah, you've been around for a very, very long time, my friend.
So remind me.
So how do we go from Seventh Void to Silvertomb, and how did we end up here at Sun Don't Shine?
Well, they're all different bands. I mean, it wasn't the evolution of one band.
True.
When Seventh Void broke up a long time ago. And then Silvertomb was a new incarnation of it. We got Juice in the band and Joe on guitar, and we added keyboards and string sections and whole new dimensions, a whole new band. That's how Silvertomb was born. I mean, the first idea for Seventh Void was to have like a bare bones rock and roll band, and Silvertomb was sort of after Typo, dissipated after Peter's death. We sort of wanted to add all those dimensions that was capable with Typo, string sections and whatnot. That was the idea behind Silvertomb. That's why we started a new band under a new name. And Sun Don't Shine is a completely different entity. It has nothing to do with any of that. Sun Don't Shine was a brainchild of my boy, Andrew Spalding, who was my merch guy, actually. And, he did merch for me and amongst a lot of... I met him on a Danzig run when I was playing with Danzig for Blackest of the Black. He was Danzig's merch guy. This is how long ago I met him. That was probably 2008, something like that.
Corpse Paint Records.
We became fast drinking buddies, and then we drank together for many years. He was also big drinking buddies with Kirk Windstein, because he was living in New Orleans. And he always wondered, I love this guy's heavy riffs and this guy's heavy lifts and this guy's songwriting. What would happen if I put these two guys in a room together? And then, come about 5 years ago, I got sober. I went to a rehab, finally cleaned my act up. And then he cleaned his act up. I kind of inspired him. He cleaned his act up, and, he made his idea, his dream come true. He just got the money together, and he was like, I want to put you guys in the studio. I called Johnny up. Johnny Kelly, he's into it, and Kirk brought down Todd Strange, from his old world of Down and Crowbar, and it was really just a favor for a friend. And that's how it started. We were like, all right, we're all over Andrew, and who knows, maybe this will be cool, right? But we were kind of nervous too, because I was like, I don't know, what is this going to sound like? Who the fuck knows? I had a few riff ideas, send them to Kirk the night before we got on the plane, and that first song was born in 2 days in the studio. So it was really just, this band is just going to do a song together. We're in a band. We were just two artists getting together to do a song together. That's how it started, Dreams Always Die with the Sun. That was the first single. And it got we came out of the studio so exhilarated. It went so well. And then we got a huge response from fans and stuff. And that's when we said, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something here. Let's take it a little further, and call it a band.
When I heard about the project initially, I was like, oh, cool. I was wondering, I've heard the 4 songs that you guys released so far, but when I first heard it, I was like, what is it going to sound like? I was like, is it going to lean one side more to their more known projects, or is it going to be something completely original? To me, it sounds like for you guys, it sounds like a whole new, it doesn't sound like anything of, it sounds like its own animal. I was very curious to see how your guitar styles would go together. And I was always wondering how are the vocals going to go? I was wondering, are you guys going to do trade off? He's going to sing a song, you're going to sing a song, or? Well,
we're trading off in songs.
Yeah.
There's going to be more of that. It was a conscious effort to do something different. On my part, I was like, I don't want to do the typical thing that everyone's going to expect. There's this fusion of Typo Negative and Crowbar, And me and Kirk both have been churning over the same doom riffs forever. You know what I mean? I didn't want it just to be a bunch of doom riffs, So I wanted it to be, as an artist, you don't want to keep repeating yourself over and over again, And if you have this new union of new artists, you want it to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And as far as the vocal thing, like there's more trading off to come because we just completed 3 new songs, which were awesome. The 3 latest songs, which are the songs that'll make it an LP in June. I spent a month there. I flew in, and it was literally a month of working out every morning and then going to the studio and doing a creative process, arrangement process, and then recording. And we got 3 monster songs down. You're gonna hear much more from Kirk, and the band is still evolving. So,
like the 4 songs that are out right now, I they all sound like, yeah, it's the same band, guys doing it, but like each song I feel could be its own like style or its own band. It's like, oh, they don't sound, they have a continuous theme, but they all sound like, oh, this could be a whole different. You could do a whole song, and you could do a whole like album in the song of, the Promise.
Sort of like a Beatles record. Every song is so weird and out there and different, but somehow it's cohesive.
Yeah, and I think that's what I kind of like about it. It's that kind of like, I don't know what the hell I'm listening to. Like it's the same thing, but it's different, but it's the same, and it just moves around a lot, and I kind of enjoy that. And it keeps it fresh.
There's diversity in it. Yeah. We keep throwing new elements into it.
I mean, it'd be so easy. Yeah, like you said, you guys have been writing certain styles for forever. You can make it sound like a Doom negative all day long, or Crowbar negative or whatever.
Easy. That would be easy. Yeah. So we're taking the hard way, as which is the best way, almost always the hard way, and we're throwing a lot of elements of Zeppelin in there, a lot of elements of everything we love. Whatever it is we gotta like it. Yeah. But yes, keep challenging, especially these 3 new songs we did, through even more elements into it. So yeah, the band is sort of circling around its prey right now of what we're going to end up being, eventually. And there's just a whole lot of ideas being thrown into the pot. And to me, it's the most fun time. The most fun part of a band is when it's inception, when it begins, That's why I begin so many bands.
I get a kick out of it that it's like we just said, like everything's different, everything's similar. I don't know how the writing process sounds like the old school days of bands getting together and jam, because like so many bands nowadays, it's like, hey, check your email, I just sent you another song, check up your Dropbox, I got another thing, and you guys are not forced, but you guys are just like hunkered down in a room together doing it the old-fashioned way. Seems to be like you jam it out. Well,
like the way we've been doing it is, I'll come up with a couple of ideas, but I'm not allowed to finish anything, because these guys are the other part of the creative entity, especially Kirk is a very creative guy. So like he would think of, and they would think of things I would never think of. So I'll do a verse and a chorus, or maybe just a riff, and bring that down, and then we build on it together from there. Like a band, like you said, like the old days. Now there's one guy hogging all or whatever. I'll having being forced to write everything because nobody else has got any ideas. It ain't one of those bands. We got a lot of ideas flying around. Todd's got a lot of great ideas too. This next single coming up September, that beginning riff, I don't know if you've heard it. Like there's a little teaser out right now. That's a Todd Strange riff. So
nice.
There you go. You never know. If you're going to throw something in the pot and it sounds golden, it turns into something, and we're going to use it, It's not about, we leave our egos at the door.
Yeah, because like it could be because you guys have all written like memorable songs for years, and the fact that you guys managed to do something completely different and still catchy as hell. Yeah, because Dreams, that song was just that shit was catchy as fuck.
Dude, that came out literally spontaneously. That whole song was spontaneous. I kind of had an idea of that vocal line, for the verse, and I had the riff for the verse, which was really slow and doomy. And then Kirk had the ending part and this crazy hardcore part too, which ended up not making it. He cut it. But like that whole riff, the down, 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 band, it was really slow and doomy, and it was all full of delay. And Johnny turned it into Sly and the Family Stone. Down, down, that whole thing. That picked it totally changed it. So it all happened within one rehearsal session. Next day, we were in the studio recording, jamming all the music. Day after that, I was writing the lyrics in the van on the way to the studio and laying the vocals. And then boom. It was like we're dizzy. We're done so quick. My head was spinning.
That's crazy, and it gives you, I think, because you don't have too much time to think about it. You can't second guess or triple guess yourself. You're just like, because you could write the song, you could rewrite the song 20 more times and never be done. Yeah. Just forces you to
spin down the rabbit hole and then go back to the original idea, because that ended up being the best idea. That's what always fucking happens, right? I mean, I'm good for that. Like I will literally Like I gave like the last 3 songs, I had a verse, chorus ideas, right? And I have to try every possible mode. I'll do in Mixolydian, and I'll go through everyone because, well, maybe it'll sound better in this mode, or maybe it's, I'm good for that. I'll spin my head down the rabbit hole for days. So it's better that I just do a piece of it or have a riff, and then we do that together, when we're in the studio together. And more often than not, you're like you said, when you're with a bunch of guys and you gotta produce right now, there's no time to do that bullshit. You're going to drive everybody crazy. You're not going to drive everyone crazy like you're going to drive yourself crazy in the studio alone, So, yeah. And then Kirk amazes me because he's like Vinny Labella. He helps like produce a lot of the stuff. He says, if Kirk is the kind of guy, if you want to riff now, no, I mean like right now, yes, Kirk. Because that's how he is. He's like, all right, we need a break in the song. It's got to go somewhere. We need a riff that's double time, or we need, a riff that feels, and he's like, oh, give me a second. And boom, the riff comes out, So he's glorious that way. And he's a spontaneous creator, So that's a very important part of what we're doing. Like, I'm the guy that's going to spin down a rabbit hole in the studio to come up with a verse and bring it down, and maybe I have an outlook or an overall vision of what the song might be, and then Kirk is just the spontaneity of it all. That's how it's working out right now.
Yeah, and like Kirk is that's why I give Kirk a little shout out, because like he is so prolific. He's done so much. Oh my
God, you have no idea. This guy,
not just
and
Crowbar.
It's like effort.
Yeah, it's effort. It's like from that to Ice Pick to Kingdom of Sorrow. He doesn't get bored, and nothing sounds the same. Yeah. And nothing sounds the same.
No, he's fantastic. He's a fantastic player, and he's the thing is, he has complete faith in himself when he's writing. And there was another person that was like that. Pete Steele was like that. Like, whatever came out, all right, that's it. And he was sure about whatever it is. It's not second guessing, third guessing, any of that bullshit. None of that bullshit happens. None of that bullshit happens with Kirk either. And every time he's been right. Like once we actually record it and put it down, it's fucking fantastic. So, writing together involves a lot of trust. So you have to, all right, so this is my baby, but it's got to be our baby. Now I got to trust you with the rest of it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm going to refer to the Beatles like the Beatles did it. They would bring down ideas or half songs, and then they would complete it, or one of them would complete it, You have to have that trust in each other, And I've developed very rapidly that trust in these guys. These guys, they're all great.
And I guess it's a little bit easier because you've known them I guess it's easier and harder. It's like, oh yeah, Kurt. I've known Kirk for over 30 years easily.
Well, that doesn't have any bearing on creative trust, though. Creative trust is a different thing.
But just it makes it easier to talk to them. But now you're working on something together. Yeah. That's where it gets a little nervous. Like, oh man, we're great friends, but if this doesn't work, will this fuck up our friendship?
Am I going to hate the riff he comes up with? Oh, no. You know what I mean? And it hasn't happened. So it's bonded us together even more. And then, the whole process of actually, because every song has this crux. So like, he'll come up with a riff for the second half of the song, and we got to figure out how to meld these two parts together. So a lot of times they're not the same tempo, not the same time signature, and that's where Johnny comes involved, and Todd, and we sit there and we hammer it out,
Yeah, because I jokingly, I mistakenly kept calling it before I noticed there was an M in it. I kept calling it Cryptomnesia in my head, but then I was talking with my partner about it. He was like, no, it's Cryptomnesia,
like amnesia, crypto in the front of it.
Yeah, like I just kept, I kept forgetting it.
But I don't give a shit. Cryptomnesia.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's a brilliant fucking piece, man. I mean, thus far, it's like I'll Stairway to Heaven. That's how I look at that one.
Yeah. I also like the fact that, like at least for the first 3 videos, you had like Mike Holderbeast like direct your videos. And I like that they're
great live video. Yeah.
They're all different. I like that. Like, I like the stage performance of the first one and Crypto. I like the studio vibeness of it. And it's cool. It feels more like, it's a video, but it feels more documentary. Is that a word? Yeah. It feels more like that for that video. And it kind of, and I like the black and whiteness.
And when we were in Louisiana last month, he shot 2 more too, for 2 more singles. So we have 2 more live ones for him and another one that's not live.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We got 3 more Holderbeast videos coming for you if you like them.
I just forgot the guy's name who did the last one, and I saw like the camera person was Coming Down was shot by a very wonderful
Rob
camera
Lowry.
person.
Well, Rob Lowry. The camera person was Aaliyah for
Yeah.
me. Footage was my daughter, Aaliyah.
Yeah. Wonderful camera operator. Did great work.
Yes, she's really good. You know, she just graduated School of Visual Arts 4 years, so
Congrats.
she's doing great.
Yeah, good. It's got to be fun, like working with your, working with family too. Also, like it's also like like, oh, you're not performing music with her, but it's like, hey, she's part of your creative process. So it must be kind of cool just to have.
For me, it was great. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. We had a great time together.
Yeah.
You know, she told me the backdrop, the right material to get. I forget what it's called. You know, they're using film, and I ordered that, and I put it in the wall behind me and stuff. And it was fun. We had fun.
I think you guys are very smart by having like damn near like every song's got like a video or something. Because I think
you have to today. Yeah, I think each one needs a visual. The next one is going to be a lyric video, but it's got cool visuals in the back. Rob Lowry, again, he made the animation for it and stuff. So that's coming out September 3rd. So I'm pretty excited about that one. That was a more lengthy song, kind of like Cryptomnesia, but not as, it's a different place.
You've seen like this industry change so much from, like, oh, people had these.
I've seen everything change from magnetic tape to fucking streaming to, from record companies to no record companies to all that shit. Yeah, I've been to it all.
Yeah. So for you, what has been the biggest change for you? Like, as from you've been on every aspect of this world, like what's been the biggest change in the industry?
Well, I think the biggest change is now obviously is social media. That's the biggest change. Now you got to be somebody on social media before you get anywhere. So, and also the fact is that you don't have a record company anymore with an art department that develop artists and all that stuff. That's what we grew up doing. Everything, you got to do everything yourself now. You got to think of everything, every single aspect, every single concept, and make it happen. Right down to the videos, So it's really like you're on your own with every aspect of it. I guess until you making money, then the record companies can become involved, right? That's what happens now. You break yourself out of the box now, right? Because now the streaming companies, they're like the gatekeepers now.
Yeah. It's not like the days where it's like, hey, you have like the artist development. Yeah, I remember when
you got to develop yourself, and you got to push yourself in this concept. I got to build my Instagram. You have to do it. It's just you can't get out of it now.
Yeah, I saw you weren't on it for a while. Then all of a sudden, you kind of got maybe forced into it.
No, I got it. I just realized because it's got to be built. Nothing's going to happen unless I do it. Again, we're going to go back to that. There's nobody to develop this. Doesn't matter how much of a history you have in the industry. Doesn't matter how much of anything. You're going to have to get in there and do it yourself. You're going to have to get the artwork together. You're going to have to build the social media pages. You're going to have to promote it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Like I've noticed, like, even some of the comments, like people are like, oh, they're loving. Like I've looked at the video comments and they're loving this, or they love Silvertomb, and it's like they like still like today. There's like, wow, I'm so glad he's still making him and Johnny are still making music. I'm like, they never stopped making music. You just weren't aware of it.
People won't know unless you get out there. Yeah, you have to make them aware of it. You got to promote yourself. I realized you said a couple of months ago I started getting on it again. And that's because I realized this ain't going to happen unless I do it. Nobody's going to do it for me. No one. And nobody's going to do it as good as me for myself. So it's just the way it is these days. It used to be you made demos and you hoped you signed a deal with a big record company and you became famous. It ain't like that anymore. You got to build from scratch on social media and playing shows slowly up from the bottom.
Yeah, I remember when I was heavier in my band, like playing days, I remember Pete was like, this is before Slipknot and before Mudvayne blew up. He saw it coming. You guys knew it was coming. He was like, yo, get a gimmick. He was like, dye yourself in fluorescent green paint, whatever, do something, get a gimmick. He was like, music's cool, but it's like, get yourself a gimmick. And then like 6 months later, here's Slipknot, here's Mudvayne, here's everything of that.
There's always
like, okay.
There's always been a gimmick element, in rock and roll, from Little Richard to Kiss to everybody. But Peter was always very keen on that you had to have an image. You have to have identifiable visual image. Another thing that's changed about today is now you got to make your own records. So you're recording your own shit. You better learn your way around the studio. You better learn your way around compression, all this stuff, because nobody's going to do it for you. Again, there's no record company's going to do it for you. So that's why I built a studio, and I took the deep dive into it. But you know what I found out? This shit that I ignored and let Josh deal with for my whole career, I actually love it. So, I love getting guitar tones. I love getting great vocal sounds. Coming down, all those layered vocals are done here in my studio, and my guitar work, the leads, all my rhythms. I can really deep dive in here, and I can experiment on harmonies and whatever I want, and I got great compressors. I get great to make it sound great. So it's become part of the passion for me. It's not just about the songwriting and the lyrics. It's about the sounds. The guitar tones and how they variate. That's another thing we're trying to vary heavy in Sun Don't Shine is all the guitar tones are different. Sometimes it's different guitar tones within one song. To me, that's part of the brain candy of the ear candy for me is the sounds.
I'm big on sound too, and then I spoke to the Joey Z a couple months back, and it was like, yeah, it's like my ears are accustomed to hear certain people like. When I think of you, I think of systems too. So like everybody has a certain sonic sound in my ears. Like your guitar's tone is that whole era of Brooklyn. Is like that was all these this whole to me like that was its own genre. We got that studio with its own thing.
Mesa Boogie.
Yeah.
It was a great studio. I mean, it was state of the art. And it was in Brooklyn. That was the main thing for Typo.
I feel like that
Brooklyn.
Yeah, that. And then having all that, having all that experience there makes your new studio like very similar, but now it's more digital than analog. So that's
I have a great analog front end, dude. That's the fucking thing. Okay? I got 500 series rack. I got amazing preamps and have amazing compressors and EQs. So everything that goes in on the front end is beautiful analog, and then of course it converts to digital, and the mixing and stuff like that is in the box after that. But you got to have good. I'm really miking my cabinets. I'm not using any bullshit guitar sims or anything like that. So I'm doing it the real way. I'm at the real way, the old-fashioned way, the way I love to do it. I got a giant. I created a whole pedal board from scratch, and to me, it's all part of the fun. A big part of the creative process are the sounds. It's themselves.
So I wanted to ask you, what made you pick up guitar in the first place when you were like a little young kid, Kenny?
Ace Frehley. That's what really made me pick up guitar. I discovered Kiss and I discovered rock and roll and then Sabbath and everyone else. So, but Ace Frehley probably was the first one with just smoking Les Paul. It's like, whoa. I mean, before that I was like a science geek kid, and then I discovered Ace. Like many of my generation, including Kirk Windstein, and a lot of people of my generation, because I was around 8 years old, 7 years old when Kiss was exploding. It was a perfect age group.
What was the first song you ever learned?
"Smoke on the Water," of course. Isn't that everyone's first song? That was it. I learned the bar chords. Get those bar chords. Yeah, "Smoke on the Water."
So you got 7 more songs. You got at least 7 songs for this upcoming record next year, I would say.
9.
Well,
I think we're gonna leave "Dreams Always Die with the Sun" out of it and just keep 9. I mean, we might put it in, but we might just have it as maybe a bonus track, or just keep it released as a single on its own. There's 9 tracks because we already have this. It's like 44 minutes with 9 tracks, so it would actually be top in, I don't know, like almost 48 minutes or something like that if we had Dreams, something like that. So if taking it out is not shortening the record with that much, it's still over 40 minutes, 9 songs.
Got you. Andrew Spalding has been doing a great job with Corpse Paint Records with you guys.
He's got fire. He wants this, He quit his job. He's doing it 100%, and he's going in all the way. You know what I mean? He's got desire. The main element for success in anything in this world, it's like when my youngest daughter really wanted to learn guitar. I said, the main element of this is desire. How much you want to do it. Because you're going to get through all those horrible stages of not being able to make a chord and then not being able to string them together. And it's going to be 7 months of shitty playing. You got to have a giant desire to overcome that. And Andrew's got desire to make this happen. And he has been. He's been doing an amazing job.
Yeah, because I rarely, I wish bigger companies, bigger record labels, did this kind of enthusiasm that Andrew has. Because it's like every so often you pop up, he'll be online just being super positive and just sharing, hey, check this little behind the scenes thing we had over here. Check this little thing out. He's always just sprinkling things out there. So you don't forget about you guys, it's because I think, again, it's a digital social media age, and he doesn't you guys aren't like over like putting people's faces too much, but it's like the right amount. And it's like, oh yeah, go on. He just sprinkles little stuff across. So you always like in the back of somebody's head.
Well, the major difference is that he's literally been part of this creative process. It's his baby too from day one. It was his brainchild to put the band together, right? And it took off from there, but he's been part of the process. So he's part of the creative entity. Record labels today are not part of that process anymore. They just sit around in the sidelines and wait to see what comes out and jump on it. So how could you be that married to it? You know what I mean? How could you be that enthusiastic about it? It's just something you noticed and then you're jumping on. You know, it's not like, this artist is great. I want to develop them, and make this from here. And then it becomes part of your baby. You get very excited about it. It doesn't really exist with these labels anymore. They're just sitting around waiting to see where the money falls or who's going viral on YouTube. All right, jump on that guy. That's it.
Yeah, because I remember like when it first started changing. I remember back when there was this thing called MySpace, boys and girls. Mm-hmm. And then like some bands managed to blow up on MySpace. They have like a crazy big following. Like in this moment, they're one of the bands that got like a huge following on there and booked their own shows and booked their own tours, and it led them to where they are now. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh yeah, if you have a thing on YouTube and then you get over like 1 million views, people start sniffing around. It's very weird.
It's weird. And then what's really weird? There's that artist Zach Bryan, right? He's huge. He's like this country acoustic dude. He's the guy that he had a YouTube channel. He'd be playing his country songs in the back of a van, and he blew up. This guy could play literally 2 nights at UBS and 2 nights at Barclays and sell it out all these nights. And it's this whole world. If you listen to rock or you listen to whatever, reggae, whatever, you wouldn't know about it. But it's giant. And it's like this own little universe unto itself that you don't know about. That's huge. I know about him because my first tour manager, Mike Amato, called me. This was about a year ago. And he's like, hey, Kenny, this is from the beginning. Mike Amato was with us from like 1994. I'm tour managing this artist, Zach Bryan, and 2 of his players are huge Type O fans. They want you to come down to the show and I want to meet you. So I went down to the UBS show and they treated me great and I hung out all night. It was fantastic, but this is a whole world I'd never heard of, And it's not like in the 90s where you were one of the 24 bands that were chosen to be on the radio. And then if you had a hit, you heard that hit over and over, that Guns N' Roses hit over and over again. You went to the supermarket, was in the super, everywhere you went, it was there. Now we're all separated on our genres and our likes with Spotify, and there's all these worlds growing separate of each other. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's forced to listen to the same thing. So it's crazy. It's like this disjointed, this huge star. I mean, everybody knows about Taylor Swift, yes. Because you can't turn on you can't go on the internet without seeing it, being accosted by it. She's maybe one of the few artists you'll hear about on 1010 Wins or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't really look
so many artists that are huge that you don't know about because you don't listen to that genre. It's not on your algorithm. You don't hear it.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I was like, oh shit.
That's what's happening. You're right. It's weird. Because I see it in the arena all the time. Who's this? What do you mean they're selling out 3 nights? I've never heard of this person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now like the equivalent of that radio hit is like a snippet of your song went viral on a TikTok reel.
That's correct.
And everybody's dancing to your song or whatever it is. There's like, snippet and hopefully it's not spelled.
It happened to Type O recently. That stupid lead I did for I Don't Want to Be Me went viral on TikTok. And literally in 1 year, we went from 1 million listeners on Spotify to 2 million. And I Don't Want to Be Me is the highest streaming Type O song now. And there's all these snippets of kids playing the lead. And it's like, took like 10 minutes to put down in the studio with Josh, literally, to write it and put it down. I'll take it. I don't care. But like, it's weird. You just don't, it's become even more haphazardly, get famous by accident. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's cool that it's a little bit, in that sense, it's a little bit democratized. Because I was also thinking about like, dude, it's like I grew up on like the stuff that got me into like metal. Like I was like a show tune kid. I love like movie scores and soundtracks, and I love that kind of stuff. And then like what got me into stuff was like the Bill and Ted Bogus Journey soundtrack, and Judgment Night soundtrack, and the Last Action Hero soundtrack. These like crazy like big rock soundtracks that don't exist anymore. It's like, oh yeah, you got a movie come out, and I was like, man, I don't remember the last time a movie put out like a soundtrack that was like, or the Crow soundtrack. You know, it's like I don't remember the last time you had one of those. Like those were just, you know, that's what got me. It's like, oh, here's a snippet of all these different bands. Boom. And
you need a movement, you know. You need a movement to like a musical movement, you know. And a lot of times Hollywood would jump on it, you know. But yeah, they play a lot of old artists, I know, for the Marvel comic stuff and the Sabbath you'll hear, and you know.
Or my favorite shit that I hate is like the breathy covers of songs where it's like I got tired of like, oh, like, you know, just all breathy and they're singing like this and something dark and slow motion's happening, and I'm like, all right, you've done this for like 7 movies already. I can't see this scene anymore.
That's the way the industry goes. That's the way the movie industry goes. That's the way the music industry goes. They get on something that works, and then they kill you with it until you don't buy it no more. Something new happens. Right? What Iggy Pop said. Great music is created by the poor. Then the rich take it over, exploit it, and destroy it. And then it's going to be recreated again by the poor again, which is very true.
For real. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, talk about a song for a second. I want to jump into a song before I forget I wanted to talk about, like, the Promise song. Like, I felt in my head, like, that's a song that, you know, like, I don't know who wrote what parts on that song, but when I originally heard it, I was like, huh, like, if Kenny was still in Danzig, I feel like this could have been a song sung by Danzig. Maybe I'm just crazy on that one, but...
I don't know. Danzig was not in mine, though. I found I wrote the main riff, which is very Smashing Pumpkins to me. Beginning, but actually, I wasn't going for Smashing Pumpkins. I was going for with a Smashing Pumpkins tone. I think that's kind of like how it came out. Actually, it's the Immigrant Song, like in 3/4, with a Smashing Pumpkins tone, like a Siamese Dream tone on it. Danzig was not in mine at all, but like, yeah, I like. I feel like Danzig, I like songs that are concise and catchy and have a classic musical arrangement, like Glenn does, you know.
So like since I'm just bringing up Glenn too for a moment, I'm like, how was your? I was like, oh wow, it's like you're going from at the time I was like, oh, you're going from Typo to Danzig, and I was like, oh, like I unfortunately never saw you with Danzig. I saw Johnny with Danzig a ton of times,
yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I was like, I felt like you were like a perfect fit, you know, like I just fit.
Oh, I thought I was too, and now you know it went great, but I only did one tour with him for like 2 weeks, and then believe it or not, Kingdom of Sorrow was going out, and Kirk couldn't do it because he was going out with Down. And Josta called me up and asked me to fill in for Kirk for Kingdom of Sorrow, and I said yes to that. And then Glenn called me for the next Black is the Black, and I couldn't do it. And you know that's how I ended up getting out of it. So, and I did the tour filling in for Kirk for Kingdom of Sorrow. This is like 2008, something like that, a long time ago.
And you're still just ticking along, man. Like, do you ever in the writing process with these guys, and it's like, oh wait, this would work, like this riff is just for this project, or like do you have like those moments like, this might sound better with Silvertomb, or are you able just to like compartmentalize your writing process from the get-go?
Right now, yeah, I do. I have separate songs written, and it kind of like the riff comes out and the vocal melody, and it kind of dictates itself where it should go to me. And if I did take something like, let's say I wrote something for Silvertomb and said, oh, this is so Silvertomb. If I took it down to Kirk, it would turn into us. It would turn into Sun Don't Shine, you know. So that's what I love about Sun Don't Shine. It's really, it's some of its parts, you know. It's not one guy or even 2 guys, which makes it very volatile, and it makes it very you never know how it's going to come out. Really, you can't control the exact way this song's going to come out from beginning to end. It's going to grow on its own and become its own thing. It's surprise you. You know, it's a delightful surprise when you listen back and you're listening to the mix going, wow, this came out great, you know? And I would have never thought of this.
I really could say, like, Todd was like, to me, Todd, like, for me personally, because, like, I've always loved Todd. Todd's been a great guy, great player. Awesome, and, like, his tone is just, he's got such a great, his sound is awesome. And it's like sometimes.
You got to hear new bass sounds on these 3 songs. Incredible.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, Todd's one of those bass players that, like, yeah, like a lot of, like, underrated bass player, but he is legit one of those.
Underrated. Not for
a lot of people.
What he does. I mean, what's underrated? People say underrated because, you're not Eddie Van Halen status, or the whole world doesn't recognize you. But if you're recognized within your genre, you know, within the people who listen to you, that's enough to me, you know. That's not underrated. Like, you know, they say Kirk's underrated. He's not underrated. He's well respected.
I just think we all, because the fans of all you guys, it's like, oh man, it's like we love like the music that you guys have given us for all these years. It's like, man, like I just like I know so many people that had to stop making great music because wasn't any money in it anymore. It's like, hey, you can't.
Well, there isn't any money in it still. It's just look, you're either a lifer here, like Alice Cooper says, or not. I mean, you're going to do this for life or not. Whether there's money in it or not, you're going to do it. You got to do it. It chooses you. You don't really choose it.
Yeah, I took a break just from playing for a while, and then right before I decided to get that fire got built back up and I'm ready to play again. Like, oh yeah, I got a little bit of tendinitis. I gotta
shit.
So now I can't do anything for like a bit. So I'm like, yeah, I can't hold a drumstick. It's kind of hard to hold a drumstick with like this.
You get it back. Tendinitis ain't the end of the world.
Yeah. But it's just funny that the timing happens. It's like, of course, right when I feel passion again, like I want to start, we need to hit the studio. We have all these songs recorded. Let's just remember, because I've said it before, I'm sitting on 2 records with 2 different projects of mine, and we just haven't recorded them. And I want to record everything before people start dropping dead, because it's like, we're we're in our mid 40s, and it's like, you know what? We're all still here. Thankfully.
You shouldn't be dropping dead now in your mid 40s unless you're fucking yourself up and you're still doing drugs and shit. You should be all right in your mid 40s.
Yeah. So I'm just like, let's just get this stuff. Let's just get this stuff going. And it's like, oh yeah, now they're waiting on me to have that fire back. I don't want to do it. It's like, I don't want anybody else to record my parts, but I could just to get it out the way. But it's like, it needs my feel. So I was like, I can't. And then I was like, I'm not in the mood. Mm-hmm. When you're not in the mood to write anything, you're just not in the mood to play or write.
It doesn't count. Yeah. Although one thing I've learned about that, especially with this project, is, well, you're getting on a plane in 3 weeks. You got to have something. It doesn't matter if you're not in the mood, you know what I mean? And that in a way is very motivating and inspiring, I think, for an artist, because the truth is you might not be in the mood, but if you force yourself into the room, within 20 or 40 minutes, you might suddenly become in the mood. You just got to be there and show up for it. They say you shouldn't wait for inspiration to come. You got to go after inspiration, Oh. Sometimes forcing yourself is the answer. Those bands, you think about Sabbath, right? They put out the first Black Sabbath record and Paranoid within 8 months or 7 months, I think it was. They were forced to. The record company forced them to. They came up with a lot of that shit on the spot, and it was great because they were forced to. They weren't necessarily inspired at the moment,
There it goes back. You don't have time to second guess your stuff. It's like, cool. Yeah. It's done enough. It's good enough. Boom, on to the next one.
Some of the greatest stuff has been written that way.
And then it's like, so sometimes, people say, oh, the sophomore slump, it's like, you don't have as much time as, sometimes it's good to have all the time in the world to make your first record. But then sometimes having deadlines make, the creative process more
important. Yes. Yeah. Art should have a deadline. Otherwise we're gone forever. Because it's never done. Let's face it, man. There's things I'd want to change about every single recording I've ever done that I could still want to change right now. It's never really done, And a mix is never really done. It's just, all right, we're going to stop here because we have to.
And then I kind of also noticed it also like an age thing. It's like, where you were when you recorded it, say 5 years ago or a month ago, your whole process of you know what? I don't like that style anymore. Oh man, why'd I do that? And that's another part of you that just
taste change. Yes,
your taste. That's the word. Yeah,
absolutely. Over time, your taste change, and it's like John Lennon said. I don't want to be writing. I want to hold your hand when I'm 45. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave the Beatles. Your taste change, and your art has significance for whatever time in your life you're going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people. I think that's the thing. It's like people hear it one way today, then tomorrow you're like, I didn't like that song as much as I thought I did. But then you do. But then sometimes it's really good to be able to stop and just once it's out of your hands, it becomes,
got to give it up, and then it's out of your control. That's it. You can't.
I learned to stop.
People are going to say what they're going to say. They're going to bullshit what they're going to bullshit. They're going to react to what they're going to react. What really matters is whether they listen or not to it. And that's right. You got to have one. It's like having a child. It's sending them off to college after. That's it. You've done what you can do. Now, they got to face the world on their own.
Yeah. Then you got to hear about your kid's either doing good or you're like, oh, thank fuck, yeah, yeah. So it's like, I get that.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
Because it's so hard to let go of that control, or just once people hear the music, it's you may have a certain feel of it. It's oh, it's all right, I had to learn to shut the fuck up and just accept the compliment about like the song. And it's like, yeah, it was fine, but I fucked up here. I fucked like, yo, they didn't hear that shit. You gotta let go of that. And it's like,
No.
you gotta just.
You gotta understand, people, the average person, they don't know what goes into creating a painting or a song or a movie. I mean, there's so much involved in it, and in just in a song alone, so many elements and so much time and effort. And people don't give a shit about any of that. They just want to hear the song. You don't know what it took to play this lead. I don't know what it took to arrange this thing or meld a 4/4 and 3/4 waltz part together. They don't understand any of that, and they don't care about it. All they care about is whether it sounds good or not to them.
Yeah, how catchy is it? Is it catchy? Is it too much time?
Does it move me? Can I relate to it? Do I think it's cool? Yeah.
Yeah, like Coming Down. It's like that's a song that it's like, oh, like there's certain songs I like I like moods. I like some songs, like a lot of songs are moods. Like it's definitely not like I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna be driving, speeding down, rocking out to this style for me. It's like, this is more like, all right, it's kind of gloomy outside or just kind of chill or maybe just sunsetty. Like this is stuff I could listen to like on repeat with the lights off. It's like, sometimes you just like listen to music in the dark. This is like, yeah, like coming,
it sounds
coming
good.
down.
Yeah,
it sounds good. Like hit repeat. Leave me alone.
That's really probably the most original song so far that we've done, I think. It started with an acoustic guitar strum and that little melody, and then it just grew from there, So it's like I can't really trace the influences. Really, it's hard to. It's pretty original. Very proud of it.
I like the little harmony at the end of it, the last minute stuff going on, and that little guitar harmony at the end of it. I was like, ooh,
that's Kirk. Nice.
Yeah, that
and the guitar work. Yeah, the guitar work that's a really the thing I love about this too, is me and Kirk trading off on guitar work is really fun. And then we'll come together with a guitar harmony at the end, So that's really fun. It's really fun to make it in the studio. Like when we're together in the studio, it's even more fun. Like that song was done separately. I was here in my studio making my riff, my lead. I left a space for Kirk, and then he filled it in Louisiana, But that's a lot of fun. The guitar work is a lot of fun because me and Kirk both are first guitar players, Like we're completely confident with our guitar playing and laying that down. I have the most fun expressing myself. Well, it's easy for me to express myself through my guitar, easier than vocal. I got to work on vocals.
Yeah, because a lot of people still just remember you as like the backup vocalist.
Yeah.
And Typo, it's like, oh yeah, like, oh, we're always thinking like, oh, it'd be cool to hear Kenny sing a full song or two. It's like that's kind of cool. You've done pieces here and there, and I was like, that's cool. And now it's like, wow, it's like your voice is so. I was like, is the word unique? I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it's interesting enough.
I think it's pretty identifiable.
Yes, like it reminds it. It has like I'm sure you've heard people say, "Oh, you sound like Chris Cornell a little bit. You sound like Ozzy. You sound like young Ozzy." It's like you
a lot of Ozzy in there.
There's a lot. There's a lot in there. Like not in a negative way where it's like you're a cover band or you're a cover.
Bon Scott. Bon Scott's in there. Yeah. Bon Scott's in there too. Ozzy, Bon Scott, Chris Cornell. Robert Plant.
Yeah, and
Robert Plant's all over that Promise Song thing. The Promise Song, that title is like a Zeppelin title. The Rain Song, the Promise Song, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of Bonham triplets in there too somewhere, I'm sure, and just Kenny.
Yeah, there's going to be Bonham. Where there's Johnny, there's going to be Bonham.
Oh yeah, because I remember I talked to him one day like years ago, and I was like, yeah, because I didn't really know Zeppelin. It was like weird, like Zeppelin was like the dark spot like in my music. So like Sabbath, I like the Who, and like wasn't more of a Beatles guy, but it was like the Beatles and Zeppelin were the bands I wasn't really like, eh. But if you covered them, if I heard, maybe it was the recording for me at where my ears were at that time. The recordings didn't really gel with me, but if somebody covered it, I'm like, oh, I kind of like the cover version, the recording differently. And I remember he was like, oh man, it was like, it hurt my feelings for like a good like 6 months. He was like, oh yeah, oh, you're not a drummer. He was like, you're not a real drummer if you don't know Zeppelin. And I was like, oh, like I didn't know Zeppelin.
Not rock drummer anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand, man, the elements of Zeppelin, they drew from every single genre on one album, would be from funk to R&B to blues and to whatever. They made up their own genre, you know what I mean? So Zeppelin is so vast. The spectrum of Zeppelin is so much more advanced than any band today. Nobody can even touch them still, Even Greta Van Fleet is just like this bare bones version of Zeppelin. They don't have the depth or the musical diversity
yet. Maybe they will. Maybe
Nobody
they
does. So I'm not putting them down. They're great at what they do. What I'm saying is nobody has that diversity. Nobody has the diversity of Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones, who were studio musicians, played on every friggin' recording from 1962 to 1968. They had such a vast library of styles in them. You know, I mean, how can you compete with? You really can't.
Yeah, and it's like it's almost not even important nowadays to like have that kind of background because everything is so.
Well, that's what makes. That's why music is so stale. That's why it's so fucking boring and stale now. Nobody really knows how to write it. All that pop shit is the same 5 chords. It's the same shit, the same modes, the same chord progressions I've heard 1 billion times. I hear it, I want to jump out a window. Oh my God, this chord progression again, been used 80 billion times in pop. But the average listener, Joe Schmucko, is on his way to work or whatever, or maybe he puts his earbuds in and he only listens from the train to the job or whatever. And they don't realize that they've heard the same fucking thing 1 million times. It's got to bust. Sooner or later, it's got to get better again. It always cycles. So it's terrible. The music is terrible right now. I mean, I feel it is. Anyway.
Yeah, I get a kick out of catching like, those TikTok or Instagram videos where it's like, oh, here's this song, and 10 different versions of the same like progression. Like, oh, here's that riff. Like, here it is in this song and that song. And it's like, wow. And it's like, sometimes you don't
progressions that work. Yeah. That have been known to work. So if you are a band of producers that are working for multi-billion-dollar Warner Brothers or whatever, and you got to write for this artist, are you going to take a chance on progressions that have never been tried? No. You're going to use the same fucking progressions that have worked for Beyonce and all these artists back down the line for the last 40 fucking years in pop and just put new sounds over them or whatever and a couple of new lyrics or whatever. Because it's going to work. It's guaranteed. That's the difference between an artist actually making music and a manufactured artist that's been manufactured by the industry.
Yeah, I
feel a lot of that. And people think that they wrote the words. These artists, they're like writing 3 words to the fucking song. They have a band of writers and producers. 10 people wrote the song. But fans, they still see the videos and they still think that, oh, Cardi's deep,
Also, like, a thing I kind of miss is, like, people don't care so much. I think people care a little bit more now about albums. It's like, for a minute, like, like back in my your formative days with you and all these other bands in the 90s, it's like an album was like, oh, cool. Like there was a single or 2 on there, but the whole album is great. And then it was a whole run where everybody was just putting out singles. And it was like, what happened to the whole, it's like a single is just like to me, like a single is just like, it's just like a snippet of the whole album. But now it's like, people forget what a whole album is.
The attention span is shrunk.
Yeah.
Attention span is shrunk. These kids, they're distracted by a lot of mediums, especially video games, and like even movies have dropped down on the list for them. So like there's a lot, they are constant media being thrown at them. You're competing with that. You think these kids have 40 minutes to listen to a whole record? They don't anymore. There's just too much shit going on. So you have to. That's why we're releasing 1 single at a time every 6 weeks or whatever. You keep in the continuum, in the front of their minds. We'll release the album. Obviously, you can keep a few songs back for that. But I think the '90s was the hardest because you had CDs. You had to fill up. You had 70 minutes possible. I mean, think about those records, those great records. There was like 15, 17 songs on the record. You had to write a lot of material.
I remember getting angry when a band what do you mean this record only has 10 songs?
Right. Right. What? It was minimum 15. I mean, we never had a problem because the way Peter wrote, it was like everything had to happen 4 times or 8 times, and it was like, 12 beats a minute. So it was like we filled up every single CD to the last fucking second, 72 minutes or whatever it was. But most bands have to write 15 songs to get there. Typo only had to write 8 to get 70 minutes,
Yeah, like that's the thing we were talking about that the other day too. It's like we miss like the days where like the first Down record had that cool, like the Bury Me in Smoke, the way it just fades out and waited a little while and then faded back in. And even you guys had like the false endings. Hey, you guys had a couple of those too. And that was those are always like the best stuff, man. It was like those little false, like, no, like it's still going. Just wait it out. Just wait it out. It's like you don't. That's one thing I miss about like the older days of music, because you don't get that now. That's
Well,
the
that's what
vinyl
Down's
thing.
trying to recapture. That's what I'm always trying to recapture too, even with this band. You know, the vibe of the '70s, which was that's when rock and roll was. That's the golden era right there, man.
Yeah, I just kind of like I kind of fell into like a Blue Oyster Cult like rabbit hole like recently, and I was just like, how come I never heard this full record or heard like these other? There's so much good music there that I'm angry that I should have heard. Like I should have paid attention to like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when I was like, oh man, I should have seen Blue Oyster Cult like 20 times by now. I missed out on some really good records, and they were so prolific too. And I was just like, man,
Yeah,
like that
I
70s
think
string
about
was.
think about the competition then in the '70s. When you think about like when Aerosmith released "Dream On," right, which was an amazing fucking song, right, and it didn't do that well on radio because Stairway to Heaven was blowing up. You know? I mean, like think about the competition you were up against. It was like tremendous. You could write the greatest song in the fucking world, and it's like mediocre back then.
But now everything becomes like a classic or whatever. Now it's.
That's my goal. I want to become classic. At this point, I'm worried about, not worried about, but I'm interested in my legacy, what I leave behind as a whole. I'm just trying to keep building my body of work, until the day I die.
Hopefully it's not anytime soon.
One song that I was involved in will end up on classic rock radio. That's my dream.
Q104.
Dad rock hero.
So some people know, some people don't know this. Like my first concert was Typo Negative. It was Danzig, Godflesh, and Typo Negative at Roseland in
Many
90.
Godflesh guys, yeah.
Yeah, that was like my first concert. So
that was a cool show, man. Godflesh. I wonder what happened to those guys.
Justin does it once in a blue, but he's got his other band, Jezu, he's doing.
So they're just kind of dissolved and yeah. All right.
Yeah. When somebody says, hey, reunion kind of show thingy, he kind of perks up, or maybe that's just where the spark is right now, is doing Jezu or his other projects he's got going on. He likes to hang out in that world. Then sometimes he'll get back over here, but depends on, I guess you can keep writing this stuff, or you're not feeling it, write something else. So hopefully I'd rather him be away and then come here and just put out lackluster music, because you're just going through the motions of it. That's when I think I don't know if there's anything worse than just going through the motions playing music, because you could feel it.
It's nothing. There's no death. There's just no greater death than that.
Like this again? Okay.
Joining a wedding band. Playing a wedding band.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah.
The mouth. To me, that would be death. Yeah.
I appreciate you so much for this, brother. I appreciate you. Just put an end on this.
I appreciate you, man. It was a great interview.
Man. Thank you, man. Cool. I just want to toss out one little thing, and then we'll wrap this whole shit up and get out of here. So before I wrap this up, Kenny, I want to say thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it. But I just have to ask you one thing, because to me, you're the person responsible for the Misfits coming back and everything that we have now with Glenn now and then the Michael Graves era. I feel like you were the catalyst, because I remember a show at Roseland where you were singing for a Misfit list singer. And you were singing a bunch of Misfits songs, and that was awesome. I thought you were going to be doing that as well.
That would have been fun. Yes, I remember that. That was a great night. Yeah, Jerry had me do it, and I remember they came down to our rehearsal space, the Typo's rehearsal space, and we went over the songs together and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I'm a huge Misfits fan, so I knew every word. I didn't even have to rehearse it or anything like that. Yeah, it was great. Great fun.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite memories ever.
Roseland's gone now too. That's gone too.
It's an apartment. It's a condo. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. I thought about, man, I'd make enough money to live at Roseland, but I still couldn't do it. All the ghosts of the music shows there.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, my friend, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Dude, this has been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll do it again sooner or later.
Anytime, buddy.